Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a sci-fi action film, Hellboy Part 2, The Golden Army. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The film begins with opening remarks about a secretly adopted strange creature that the US Army and a team of paranormal researchers rescued during a classified mission off the coast of Scotland in 1944 with a code name Hellboy. 11 years later, a now an adolescent Hellboy pleads with his father, the professor, to read him a bedtime story. It is a story about a legendary war between humans and all magical living beings in the mystical realm. King Balor, the leader of the elfin race, commissioned the creation of the Golden Army, an army of 4,900 mechanical soldiers, to fight humans' infinite greed. The master of Goblin Blacksmith forges a magical crown, allowing anyone with royal blood to command the Golden Army. And so, when another fight with humans occurs, the Golden Army kills all of them with no mercy, and regret consumes King Balor as he realizes how powerful yet a great mistake he had made. So he calls a truce and divides the crown into 3 pieces, 1 for the humans and 2 for himself. Humans will control the cities, while the elf race owns the forests. However, King Balor's son, Nuada, doesn't believe in the promises of a man. So he goes into exile and vows to return when his people need him, leaving the Golden Army into an indefinite slumber. At present, an albino man practices swordsmanship and reveals himself as Prince Nuada, ready to return from exile. A monster, Mr. Wink, joins him to be his loyal servant. Simultaneously, several artifacts, including the human's crown piece, are getting auctioned. Moments later, Nuada invades the auction with Mr. Wink, and together, they release several mysterious creatures to dispose of the humans before taking the crown's fragment. Meanwhile, at the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense, Agent Manning shows several photographs of Hellboy in public to Lizard Man, ranting that Hellboy's ruining their image as a secret organization on purpose to make his life even more difficult. Lizard Man explains that Hellboy's hormone relationship with Liz is tense at the moment as any other couple, which may be causing his erratic behavior. At that moment, Hellboy blasts through the room's wall as he pisses off his pyrokinetic girlfriend, Liz, with his laziness and messiness. As Liz calms down to talk with him, the alarm goes off, postponing their conversation. Later, Manning gives Hellboy a pack of Cuban cigars in exchange for him to be extremely discreet while they go to investigate the incident at the auction house. As they arrive at the scene, they discover no survivors and bodies from the guests, not even one. Lizard Man searches with a piece of special equipment to find the cause of the attack and finds boxes marked with a royal seal, which are only delivered at a time of war. While investigating, Lizard Man senses that they have company, and soon enough, these companies start making themselves known. Lizard Man explains that these small winged creatures are called tooth fairies, which feed mostly on calcium, bones, skin, organs, and teeth. While using his psychic powers to try and find the creatures, Lizard Man accidentally brings his hand on Liz's tummy and senses that she's pregnant, shocking her. Suddenly, a swarm of the ravenous tooth fairies attacks the team, leaving Liz with no choice but to activate her fire powers to incinerate the nasty little creatures. Lizard Man hides in the safe upstairs as instructed. However, the hard-headed Hellboy refuses to hide, so when Liz blasts the room with her fire, he gets thrown out the window and to the ground, where he shamelessly exposes himself to the public, the media nonetheless. The crowd goes to Hellboy, which he enjoys, while Manning becomes more problematic as the Paranormal Bureau is officially exposed to the outside world. Meanwhile, Mr. Wink goes with Nuada, who comes to speak to his father, King Balor. Nuada refuses to surrender his weapon and even threatens to kill the guard. Fortunately, his twin sister Nuala stops him from doing so. On the other side, Hellboy happily watches the news reports about him and the other agents. Hellboy doesn't bother to hide his delight, as the world now sees him unaware that Liz has taken multiple secret pregnancy tests, all of which are positive. Liz is pissed off as she hates people staring at her, making her feel like a freak. Just then, Manning arrives and informs Hellboy that Washington will be sending a new Paranormal Bureau agent due to his latest impulsive actions, and Hellboy is less than thrilled. Back to Nuada, who finally reunites with his father after a long time of vanishing into exile. King Balor is glad to let their truce with the humans stand, despite the new and not all still good progress in human civilization. However, Nuada doesn't think so, and believes that nothing will feed the humans' greediness, and they will soon force the mystical creatures into extinction. But Nuala sides with their father, as she also wants the Golden Army to be asleep. King Balor gives his son one last chance to change his mind, but Nuada refuses to back down, leaving him with no choice but to condemn death upon him. Now alone with his plan to do whatever is necessary to make the magical realm safe, Nuada sorts into violence. Although clearly outnumbered, Nuada manages to kill his father's guards with his excellent swordsmanship. Then, Nuada slashes the 2 remaining guards before stabbing his own father. As King Balor turns into a stone, Nuada takes the second piece of the crown, while Nuala flees with the third and final piece. On the other side, everyone awaits at the Paranormal Bureau for the arrival of their new agent, Johann, the top man in ectoplasmic research. He's also highly recommended by the European liaison, but he has no recorded photos or fingerprints. Moments later, Johann arrives, and to their shock, he's no human. He's a strange entity in a containment suit, proportioned like a man holding pure ectoplasmic energy, hence why he's at the top of ectoplasmic research. The team shows him the remains of one tooth fairy and the royal seal on the boxes. Johann injects it with a sample of ectoplasmic energy to temporarily return the creature to life for them to examine it more. The tooth fairy screams as it comes to life, and although its communication language is chattering, Johann understands it and translates what it says. It turns out, the creature remembers all the troll languages and other commerce sounds. Johann informs them that the creature came from a legendary troll market, a gathering place for magical creatures. Johann takes the ectoplasmic energy back into his suit and tells the team it's rumored that the troll market might be located under the Brooklyn Bridge. Johann takes them there and gives them special time dilation glasses that allow them to see through illusions put out by magical entities. Upon wearing the glasses, the team uses a magical creature called Fragglewump, who uses a figure of an old woman to blend in. Johann firmly and repeatedly warns Hellboy not to stop the creature from eating the cats, but as expected, his stubbornness prompts him to disobey Johann's order. The team shows the creature a canary. The only thing that scares it is to force it to lead them to the right door of the troll market. The Fragglewump takes them there, and when it refuses to open the door and insults them, Hellboy throws it at the end of the hallway with one punch. This pisses Johann, but he walks toward the door instead and opens it by releasing his ectoplasmic energy. As they enter, Hellboy cannot hide his delight, as for once in his life, he doesn't feel like a freak or an outsider. While walking amongst the market's creatures, Lizard Man sees a hooded figure wearing the royal seal walking away, so he investigates on his own. Johann gets informed by some creatures that the tooth fairies are purchased in New Jersey. When he shows the picture of the royal seal, the creatures seem afraid and tell Johann to leave as they will not talk. Hellboy appears and punches one of the creatures, making a small commotion. After that, he moves on with the other who offers to talk, as he doesn't want to be hit by Hellboy anymore. He informs Hellboy that Prince Nuada purchased the Tooth Fairies and his plan to wage war with the human world. Meanwhile, the hooded figure reveals to be Princess Nuala, who shows her bracelet marked with royal seal to a creature, who gives her a map that King Balor left for her. The map contains the secret location of the Golden Army. Just then, Lizard Man comes into the store, where Nuala confronts him, asking if her brother Nuada sent him to go after her. Nuala places her hand on Lizard Man's, and it turns out she shares the same psychic powers as him. As they read each other through their hands, Mr. Wink barges in to attack Nuala. She immediately flees as instructed by Lizard Man, while he stalls Mr. Wink. Not long after, Hellboy shows up, allowing Lizard Man to flee the scene with Nuala. After a pretty intense fight, Hellboy proves victorious as Mr. Wink gets crushed by a mechanical tool with spikes. Lizard Man returns to the scene with Nuala and Johann, who want them to leave as soon as possible, as their cover has been blown by Hellboy's ruckus. Mr. Wink's death immediately spread like wildfire, shocking Nuada. Meanwhile, Nuala explains to the team that she has the last and final piece of her father's crown and the cylinder from the library containing the Golden Army's location. Johann asks for the crown piece, but Nuala refuses to hand it over, as her father died upholding the truce with the human world. Johann doesn't want to return to the Paranormal Bureau with the princess because of the regulations and procedures. Suddenly, Nuada appears, furious at the loss of his companion, so he releases a small seed onto the ground and into the sewer water. Within a matter of seconds, a gigantic, multi-tentacled creature resurfaces from the ground. Hellboy changes his trademark Samaritan pistol for a gigantic 6-barrel minigun, nicknamed Big Baby. Before the fight escalates, Hellboy first sees a trapped baby in a car from certain doom. Johann instructs him to shoot the creature in the head, so Hellboy takes a leap of faith, tosses the infant in the air, and quickly loads his barrel. Hellboy catches the baby with one hand before shooting the creature twice. As Johann repeatedly orders him to finish it, Nuada tries to convince Hellboy to keep the creature alive, as it is the last of its kind. But then, after contemplation, Hellboy finally shoots it in the head. As the fight ends, the creature releases and spreads its beautifulness on the ground. Nuada disappears, while the humans taunt and jeer Hellboy for bringing danger to a child. Liz comes to his side and explains that Hellboy was just saving them from death. However, they call Hellboy a freak and throw a stone in his face, prompting Liz to activate her fire. They return home, where Hellboy asks Liz about the human's reaction toward him. Instead of answering that, Liz tells him that she's leaving to think. Hellboy automatically assumes that he has doomed their relationship and pleads with her to stay. However, Liz tells him to think about what he really wants, the world's approval or hers, and walks away. Meanwhile, Nuala explains to Lizard Man that a link has bound her with Nuada, which means that Nuada will come after her again, as he knows where they are located through the psychic link. Nuala then asks him why he vouched for bringing her to the Paranormal Bureau, and Lizard Man responds that perhaps a link also connects them. The two tell each other that they haven't met like one another, before Nuala leaves to sleep with a smile on her lips from shyness. Johan confronts Hellboy in the locker and tells him he must follow his orders. When Hellboy doesn't listen to him, Johan mentions the professor and informs him that the professor designed his containment suit. This pisses off Hellboy, but Johan's not afraid of his threats. He's rather confident that he will win if they had to fight. Johan explains that he can take him because Hellboy's temper is his one fatal flaw. Truth be told, he lets his temper get the best of him, proving Johan's point by smashing the helmet of the containment suit. Johan's ectoplasmic energy gets released, knocking Hellboy out of his senses. Just as he realizes his mistake, the ectoplasmic energy takes control of the lockers. It smashes Hellboy several times, and then tells him to control himself. Later that day, Hellboy goes to Lizard Man's room after hearing him listen to a collection of popular love songs. He quickly realizes that Lizard Man has fallen for the Princess Nuala, and the two drink their love problems away while singing along to the love songs. At that same time, Nuala feels that Nuada has found her, so she quickly tosses the cylinder and the parchment into the fire and hides the crown's last fragment in one of Lizard Man's books. Back at the two, Lizard Man is on the verge of revealing to Hellboy why Liz has been acting differently lately, when she suddenly wakes up and stops Lizard Man from revealing her secret. On the other side, Nuada breaks into the Paranormal Bureau discreetly, takes the cylinder, and looks for the crown's fragment. As he does so, Nuala pulls the emergency lever in the room, alerting every agent. Nuada takes his sister hostage as Lizard Man and Hellboy come in. Lizard Man warns Hellboy not to hurt the prince, as Nuala feels his pain. This pisses him off, as all he can do best is to dodge. Nuada repeatedly asks for the piece, but Nuala firmly refuses to give it, so he stabs Hellboy with his enchanted spear. Before he departs with his sister, Nuada instructs Lizard Man to find the piece and bring it to him in exchange for Hellboy and Nuala's lives. Despite their best attempt, the spearhead cannot be removed, as any attempt to pull it out only makes it closer to Hellboy's heart. Although in pain, Hellboy admits to Liz that she's more important than anything else in his life. Meanwhile, Lizard Man finds the crown's last piece at last. Analyzing King Balor's map, the team reads that the Golden Army is located in Northern Ireland. Liz wants to leave as soon as possible to take Hellboy there to heal him, but Johan and Manning disagree. They are willing to let Hellboy die to keep the Golden Army from awakening, prompting Liz to berate Johan's attitude and leadership. Lizard Man keeps the crown's piece to himself and joins Liz in taking Hellboy out of there. Johan stops them before they can leave, and to their surprise, he volunteers to help. He tosses wedding rings to Lizard Man and explains that he has lost the woman he loved before, so he will help Liz save the man she loves. As they arrive in Northern Ireland, a goblin welcomes them and offers his help to lead them to the Golden Army in exchange for the spearhead in Hellboy's chest. The goblin brings them to a mysterious winged creature, the Angel of Death. The Angel of Death calls them by their real names as he has been waiting for them. He doesn't care whether Hellboy lives or dies, but he warns Liz that Hellboy's survival will bring destruction upon Earth. Despite the warning and the fact that she will suffer more than anyone, Liz chooses Hellboy. So the Angel of Death removes the spearhead and instructs her to give Hellboy a reason to live. Liz emotionally whispers into his ears that he's gonna be a father, causing him to be awestruck. The goblin interrupts them and leads the group to the central chamber of the Golden Army, where Nuada awaits with his hostage. Lizard Man tosses the crown's last piece to Nuada, despite Nuala and his team's warning, hoping to free Nuala. However, Nuada wears the crown and betrays them by awakening the Golden Army. Despite their valiant effort to stop and kill these mechanical soldiers, the Golden Army appears unstoppable. Fortunately, Hellboy comes up with an idea and challenges Nuada for the right to command the Golden Army. Nuada asserts that Hellboy is not royalty, but Nuala declares that Hellboy is born of royal blood, the son of the Fallen One, and thus the challenge must be answered. Nuada answers the challenge by tossing a sword to Hellboy, while he uses his spearhead. The fight begins between two royalties for the right to command the Golden Army. The two fight across the entire chamber, with Hellboy finally gaining the upper hand at one point. However, he refuses to take the prince's life, as he knows he will kill Nuada's twin sister in that way. Hellboy walks away with the crown, unaware that the prince has pulled out a knife to stab him from the back. But before he can do so, Nuada suddenly collapses onto the floor from the excruciating pain in his chest. It turns out, Nuada has stabbed herself in the heart in a final and desperate attempt to stop her twin brother from waging war with the humans once again. With his remaining strength, Nuada asks Hellboy to choose between his kind and the humans. Meanwhile, Lizard Man rushes to Nuada and confesses his hormone feelings for her. She dies without hormone let go and turns into stone just like her brother. With the twins dead, Liz takes the crown from Hellboy and melts it before greediness consumes him. The Golden Army returns to their deep slumber for eternity as the crown melts. Manning and other paranormal bureau agents have caught up with Hellboy by this point. Manning demands an explanation, but instead, Hellboy, Liz, and Lizard Man hand in their belts, resigning from the paranormal bureau. Hellboy reclaims his Samaritan gun. He and Liz get a place of their own to raise the baby. The film ends with Liz stopping Hellboy and correcting him by holding up 2 fingers, which means she's carrying twins. Hellboy can only look in shock and awe, as he doesn't expect that at all. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.